Okay, today I'd like to talk about my experiences with Airbnb. It's a booking option that I've used online just of recent times, the last 2 years. I decided to change from my traditional booking method, which was through booking.com, mainly because I was looking for larger places. I wanted my own apartment spaces when I was going to stay in Saigon, HCMC City in 2014. So I was looking for a little bit more luxury, a little bit more space, and just something different from the standard hotel experience. I heard that in Airbnb you can live inside in the actual communities, the suburbs, and with the actual people, because I'm not a big fan of living in high density tourist areas, to be honest. I want to actually experience the real side of a city. I'm not so much of a touristy guy. So I took the plunge. So I decided to stay in a variety of places in Saigon in that month period, just to get a feel for different parts of the city and different types of accommodation under the Airbnb banner. Okay, the first Airbnb apartment I stayed at was in District 3 in Ho Chi Minh City, not too far from the centre of the city in District 1, but far enough away to be in suburbia away from a tourist area. It was genuinely where the local Vietnamese live, so that was quite good. I got usual thing. I've been to Saigon many times, so it was no big deal for me to leave the airport and get a taxi there. I was quite used to the routine. Got myself a venison cab, which usually would indicate that you're in pretty safe hands. However, this guy was trying to rip me off, charging me 100,000 dong just to leave the airport. And I knew that was total BS because I'd been to Saigon on numerous occasions before. And he was trying to schmooze me, get me to do tours and all this other garbage and take the extra money off me, and I refused, and we parted with not so amicable circumstances. So he was not a happy boy, but he was trying to rip me off. Very unlucky for that to happen when you've got a venison cab, I might add, but it can happen anywhere at any time, and that was during the day. So he dropped me off in a laneway near where I was staying, but it wasn't actually the lane where the apartment was located. And here is the first problem that can arise when you're doing an Airbnb booking. If you're booking with a private residence, in many cases you will be, it's not necessarily going to be a prominent address on a main road that a taxi driver will have a clue about. So there is an orientation aspect to settling into an Airbnb booking that may not be apparent before you actually go through the process. So it was a little bit of a headache for me, but luckily a couple of young Vietnamese girls, I showed them the address who were in the area. They led me to where the apartment was, and the host and his wife were waiting outside and greeted me. So that was all good and well, and I was extremely relieved. The actual place itself, it was interesting. It was the antithesis of staying in a hotel, in that you needed to walk through their common area downstairs to actually make it up along a common staircase to my particular apartment, which was 2 stories up. So that was interesting, and I had to actually buzz myself in if I got in after 11 o'clock at night, so that the owner's mother would actually give me access into the apartment. So that was, like I say, not standard hotel procedure, but the area was good. It was difficult for me to get one basic item, which was toilet paper. Now this is a difference between booking in a hotel and Airbnb. I would have assumed that there would have been at least one roll of toilet paper in the bathroom. There wasn't. There was nothing. There's a little bit of soap, but there wasn't any toilet paper. So I had to go and try to scrounge some. And you would not believe it, this area had many small stores, but I could not find one that stocked toilet paper. There was a co-op somewhere down the road, but I didn't know where it was. So I spent over an hour in the area trying to find toilet paper and no luck. So another little glitch that wouldn't happen if you're in a hotel, obviously, because they would have supplied that in the first place. And if they hadn't, they would have been nearer a 7-Eleven type store that would have been able to, you would be able to purchase it. But this was in hardcore suburbia, and it just happened to be an area where there wasn't that particular type of shop available, which I found staggering. But it was a pain in the ass as far as orientation is concerned. But I got it worked out. I actually went to when I left the apartment a couple of hours later to go to one of the pubs I've been frequenting in the past. The taxi driver went past a co-op that I knew, and I bought some paper there, and then just walked to the bar there, and I had my supplies. The other thing about the apartment too is it wasn't exactly super clean. You know, another thing you'd expect if you're in a hotel, you would expect pretty good cleanliness, but it was a nice enough apartment, but it just wasn't up to standard with cleanliness. So not so bad for a guy like me, but if you're in a couple situation where you had someone staying there that was a bit worried about, you know, hygiene's a huge priority, they may not be too impressed. So, you know, it's a bit rough and ready compared to staying in a hotel. Having said that, the price was very good for what I got, and you know, I had a 2-bedroom apartment, and you know, it was less than $40 Australian a night. Now that's pretty damn good in Saigon. So you know, price-wise, I had no complaints. So that worked out fairly well. That particular place, there was plenty of cafes in the area that I could go to in the morning, and there was a huge market just within walking distance. So it was great. As far as buying produce is concerned and different types of local cuisine, it was fantastic. And I finally did find the co-op down the road, so that was fine. I got totally orientated, and you know, I stayed there for 2 weeks, and I've got to say, overall, I really enjoyed the experience. And you know, it was different to staying in a hotel, and that was the right move for me. So my first Airbnb experience was quite positive. There was a minor glitch at the end. The checkout time was bizarre. It was like midnight. So that left me thinking, did I have the extra day that I needed? And of course I didn't, and I had to actually book an extra day on top of what I thought I had already done. Luckily, the owner had an extra apartment upstairs that I could stay that extra night, because otherwise I would have had to maybe move to a hotel and then move to my next Airbnb apartment, which would have meant an extra interim move for just one night, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But as it turned out, it was fine. I stayed there for the extra night, paid him cash, and he was happy, I was happy. And then I moved to my next B&B apartment the following day. And that was also in District 3, but District 3 can vary quite a bit, and this was a much more upmarket part of District 3, and a very nice apartment complex. It cost me more, the apartment, but it was extremely good value, especially if there's a few of you staying there. It was just me in this case, which is ridiculous because there's 3 bedrooms. The check-in process wasn't particularly smooth. Again, it's an Airbnb thing. You're not dealing with a hotel, and the people on the apartment complex reception didn't really know I was coming, or there was a bit of a confusion with the owner, who happened to be in the Persian Gulf working, so it made it a bit difficult communication-wise. But look, it only lasted for about half an hour, and I eventually got into my apartment, and it was very nice and extremely much cleaner. There was toilet paper this time, but ironically, this time, no soap. So, you know, and this was funny because this is a serviced apartment. You'd think that would have both soap and toilet paper. The housekeeping was done on a daily basis, and the cleaners were excellent, yet they hadn't supplied soap as part of the deal. There was, but the facilities were brilliant. Had a really nice balcony area. The lounge was great. The kitchen was great. 3 bedrooms, fantastic bathroom with a separate shower, huge shower recess, and it was in a fantastic area off a side street, and there was a stack of food outlets just down through the doorway, about 30 seconds walk from where I was, and I had a choice of all these cheap eateries. It was just a brilliant location, and it was very close to District 1 again. It was abutting the tourist area, but again, didn't feel, it was upmarket. It would have been probably business people staying there and other types of people doing business, and maybe a well-heeled tourists, but not really crammed full of people like that. It was sort of like a mix, not as suburban as the first place, but it was still good, and it had its own charm, and I felt very comfortable there. I was only staying 6 nights until I moved to my next place, but I enjoyed it there, and again, that was a big tick for Airbnb. It worked out really well, and if you'd say had 6 people, like 3 couples, it would have been so cheap. It was about $78 a night, I think, if I recall. Might have actually been 70. I can't actually. It might have been 70, and it would have been extremely good value for 6 people sharing, and you could have, because it was quite a large space. It was absurd just for me. I really did overindulge with that one, but that was only 6 nights. And then I switched to my last Airbnb apartment, which was in a tall tower in District 1, and I stayed 9 nights there. And that was also very good. The organisation there was much better. They were expecting me. They had a little reception desk on the 7th floor, and I think I was up on I can't remember the floor number I was on now, about 11th or 13th floor or something like that. Maybe not 13th, they probably didn't have a 13th floor because of the superstition. But it was a huge apartment with 2 bedrooms and 2 balconies, and it was quite elevated, and had a fantastic view of Saigon, and yes, very nice, just a great place to stay. Didn't look quite as luxurious as in the photos, but they can always be a little deceptive. But it was good enough, and I found it quite a nice place to stay, and very convenient because it was right near Beauvien Street, which is the backpacker mecca, just down the road. And so there were plenty of eateries, and if you didn't want to necessarily do the tourist thing, you didn't have to. There were plenty of local places there too, and a little market the opposite direction, which was excellent value and had fantastic food and coffee and what have you, all you'd need. And there was another co-op down the road that I'd been to before, so it had all the facilities that I needed. So another big tick for that one. So the Vietnamese trip worked out really well. The owner was really nice too, I might say. I met the owner of that particular place, and he was great. All in all, a very pleasant stay. Had no complaints whatsoever. So as far as my first trip with Airbnb, it was a big tick. I had no complaints whatsoever, and I was positive I got better value for money staying through Airbnb than I would have, say, booking through my traditional option, which was, say, booking.com, because I compared the prices of, say, renting an apartment through, say, booking.com compared to Airbnb, and it was about 50% more from what I could gather. And that's only a rough estimate, but it did cost more. You got a bit more bang for your buck. So Vietnam was good. That was great.